Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. Hour 2 kicking off right now on this Monday morning of April 20th. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start here this morning, whether you are listening on the radio dials or online, on your app, on the smart devices, the video stream. We appreciate it. And again, hopefully you had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new week here. We're going to talk a little NFL draft coming up here in just a skosh. But Surveyor Sam chiming in with his best and worst of the weekend. Our best and worst of the weekend brought to you by the VFW Post 305 located on Star Avenue. If you're looking for maybe somewhere to maybe watch the draft while having a draft, get it? Draft. Yeah. Head on over to the VFW Post 305. All right. Great place, great food. Weather's going to be a little bit warmer, it looks like, coming up in the middle of the week. So, I mean, that back patio view of the river, it's going to be a hot spot. It's going to be beautiful. So, I post up over there. Can't ask for a better view in Eau Claire. Not many. So, but Surveyor saying, best of the weekend. I played my first rugby game in almost 2 years and scored. I was wondering, because I've seen updates on Facebook, Surveyor, and I haven't seen your name on there. So, all right, cool. Worst of the weekend, the battle for Middle Wisconsin. The Eau Claire Orcs and Oshkosh Rugby Club went to Oshkosh 24-17. Also, I am still very, very sore. Dude, I'm at the age now where my quads and hamstrings, my thighs get sore from helping coach like baseball or basketball, like sitting on a bucket and pitching or doing whatever. I was trying to figure out, why am I sore? Maybe it's just, yeah. I'm at that age now. Wait till you get to my age, Surveyor. I'm a little bit older than you, so. But my best and worst of the weekend. I'll kick off my best and worst of the weekend here for the second hour. I'm going to go back to Badger basketball because I think for best, I should clarify. My best of the weekend, I'm probably going to go with Badger basketball. Now, I get a lot of this is kind of an unknown. We don't know how it's all going to play out. But based off of what we do know and based off of, numbers from what these players have done in their college careers so far, I kind of like what Wisconsin did, at least on paper, in terms of the transfer portal. So we got 3 names that were announced over the weekend. And Trey Autry, he's from George Washington. George Washington. He's a shooting guard. All right. This past year, he averaged 11 points per game, 43.5% shooting from the field, including a very solid 38.5% from 3. 81% from the charity stripe. Also, George Washington played in a little bit of an up-tempo, 3-point shot-focused offense. There you go. That's what Wisconsin did this past year. A senior. You kind of look at, okay, Greg Gard has hit on the last couple of senior transfer portals, right? John Tonje, and then, of course, Nick Boyd. So it just feels like the bar has been upped, risen the last couple of years. Trey looks like a solid addition. And then you got another guard, Ian Elmer. He's coming over from Miami of Ohio. The team that surprised a lot of people last year. 12.7 points per game, nearly 6 rebounds per game, shot an amazing, awesome 43% from 3. 43% from 3. So you look at that again, trying to find. This is the offense that Wisconsin has been utilizing for the last couple of seasons, last few seasons, 3-point shooting. And now you're bringing in a 6'6" senior that shot 43% from 3 last year, averaging nearly 13 points and nearly 6 rebounds per game. That's a skill set. And I get it. It's Miami of Ohio, and some people are probably going to poo-poo on it in terms of the quality of competition and such, but again, I kind of trust Greg Gard right now, given how he has gone about the transfer portal for the last couple of years and finding these guys. And then the other player, which I right now I'm going to butcher his name, and I apologize. And I'm sure there's going to be a few people saying, no, that's not easy. I apologize. Victory Anutu. I'll get it right here eventually, okay? Now, he's a 6'10 senior out of Hofstra. Not a big-time scorer, but a dude who crashes the boards. Last year at Hofstra, he averaged 4.7 points per game and 7 rebounds per game, 56.6% shooting. But he got a ringing endorsement from one Sam Decker. Decker tweeted out this, that had the chance to get to know and play with him in the 24-25 season in Spain. He was a practice squad player for our club. His raw potential was through the roof. I couldn't get over the physicality he brought to the floor at a young age. It made me excited to see him just starting to scratch the surface before heading to the States last year. More importantly, he is a terrific kid, and he will be an impactful player in the ways Wisconsin hasn't had in many years. Great job to the staff on a big get. So that's quite the ringing endorsement from Sam Decker. So I know there's probably going to be casual fans that say, dude played at Hofstra. Well, I mean, he also played overseas, played in Spain and such. Sam Decker had a chance to get to him, get to know him, play against him. Sam Decker, obviously, Wisconsin Badger. I think the fact that one line on here where he says the impactful player in the ways Wisconsin hasn't had in many years, I think a lot of that is probably that physicality that he brings to this ball club, that he potentially brings to this ball club. I think that's what Decker's referring to. So I think it was a good weekend for Wisconsin Badger basketball to get these 3 players. And I can't wait to see how it all plays out. My worst of the weekend, I mean, I don't know if I really have a worst of the weekend, to be real with you. Because I can't say it's the Brewers. They did win 2 out of 3. I can't say it's them. So I don't know if I have a worst. I might have to come back to you on that one. Might have to come back to you on that one, unless something kind of pops up in my mind. But I don't think I necessarily have a worst of the weekend so far. So stay tuned to that. All right. We've got Bo Melton has apparently signed his tender today. That's according to Adam Schefter, Packers exclusive rights free agent. Bo Melton has signed his tender. I don't know if it means anything, but it does say that wide receiver Bo Melton on there, not wide receiver /CB or just CB. But, yeah. In case you're wondering, a little Aaron Rodgers update from Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. The Steelers have not received any word from Aaron Rodgers on his future, and there is no expectation of a final decision prior to the NFL draft. So, on one hand, it wasn't that long ago when Rodgers, I think he was with the Packers at that time, saying, I don't want to hold the team hostage in terms of my decision. And it's like, okay, you get it. He went through the Favre stuff of the long waiting and that, right? And now he's doing it. He's waiting a long time to make his decision. And I know a lot of people are going to point the finger and say, oh, look what you're doing right now. You're doing the same thing. I think a lot of it is he probably didn't think it would be that hard of a decision. You get to a certain point, you get to a certain age and all this. I think, he probably didn't think he'd get there, but we're all human. And we all probably have to make some very difficult decisions, and you probably prolong it as much as you can. And maybe it was a more difficult decision that he initially thought it would be. I still feel like he's going to be back at least for one more year, especially the longer this goes. But I guess, we'll see what happens. So let's talk some more football, shall we? Let's talk some more NFL draft as we are just days away. A big-time trade over the weekend that, it impacts the draft for this weekend, too. Giants trading Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals for the 10th pick. Another team with multiple first-round picks in this draft. So who is on the top of your wish list? I don't care what team you were a fan of. Who's the player that's at the top, or give me two players that are at the top of the wish list for you. All right? I know some of you got them, so I want to hear it from you. We'll take a quick break, and we'll talk some football coming up after these quick words. Spring is here, and it is the perfect time for a fresh start and a new ride. Whether you're planning some road trips or tackling some weekend projects, or you're just ready for something new, now is the time to upgrade. At Toyson Ford, you will find a great selection of trucks, SUVs, and cars built to fit your lifestyle and your budget. Plus, their team is here to make your car buying experience simple and stress-free. So this spring, drive something that you love. Go visit Toyson Ford, where your next adventure starts there. All right, so we are just a few days away from the start of the NFL draft, and obviously the draft got a little bit affected this past weekend with Dexter Lawrence being traded from the New York Giants to the Cincinnati Bengals, where the Bengals given the Giants the 10th overall pick, just straight up 10th overall pick for Dexter Lawrence, which now means we've got a lot of teams here with multiple first-round picks, and both teams, New York, I know they're technically New Jersey, but you know what I mean, both New York teams with multiple picks in the first round. In fact, we've got the Giants, we've got the Jets, we've got the Browns, Kansas City, Miami, and Dallas. So the Jets own number 2 and 16. The Giants own number 5 and 10. Cleveland owns 6 and 24. Kansas City owns 9 and 29. The Dolphins own 11 and 30. And the Cowboys own 12 and 20. So we've got a half a dozen teams with 12 of the 32 picks. Maybe even more. Maybe a little bit more, because there's one rumor out there because, hey, now we got a lot of smoke and we got a lot of fire because it's draft week, so be a little careful out there. But one of the rumors that popped up this morning was that the Cardinals, hey, they may be drafting a running back with the 3rd overall pick, with Jeremiah Love potentially being an option. I think it's safe to say that the Cardinals need a lot of stuff. And part of that rumor report, whatever you want to call it, from Schefter says that the Cardinals maybe would like to trade back, or trade down, I should say, trade down a little bit to accumulate some more picks. But if they don't, they potentially could draft Love with the 3rd overall pick with Jeremiah Love. They still need a quarterback in the future. Now, could that be Simpson, or are they going to wait till next year when all indications look to be that next year's draft is going to be better from a depth perspective from the quarterback position? Now you got Jacoby Brissett not showing up for the first wave of offseason work because he wants to be paid as a starter if he is going to be the starter. But the thing with Love, too, is that he's going to turn 21 in May. This is, get ready to feel old. Jeremiah Love's birthday is May 31st of 2005. He was born a month after Aaron Rodgers was drafted in the league. Oh, my God. Man. Wow. I was in my first year in college, wrapping up my first year in college. I was done with my first year in college, actually. But, yeah, get ready to feel really old there. But, so, again, just a little cautious. Some of it could be something. Some of it could be just those team leaks or agent leaks out there. You know, maybe this is something the Cardinals kind of floated out there to say, we're open for business. We're going to draft Jeremiah Love. So if there is a team out there that wants Jeremiah Love, pick up the phone and give us a call. Otherwise, hey, we're going to draft him. You want him that bad? You have to call us. You know, Titans have been a popular team. maybe they're kind of saying, hey, Titans, you want him. Everybody says you want him. You might have to swap picks with us and give us a little extra. Not saying the Cardinals wouldn't be interested in getting him, but we're in the week of gamesmanship and a lot of smoke and maybe not a lot of fire. And it would make sense if a team like the Cardinals are shopping the pick because they have a lot of needs, because they need a quarterback, and there's probably not a quarterback that is worthy of the third overall pick. They're probably looking at this saying, hey, if we can get another first rounder, maybe a few or a high second or whatever, we're open for business. Hit us up, man. It makes a ton of sense that this is being out there, because I think it would kind of surprise people that, oh man, the Cardinals are drafting a running back. Okay, they don't have a quarterback. So on one hand, it's like that this is going to help them out. Pair them up with Marvin Harrison Jr. Hey, that would be an intriguing young duo. But again, you got Jacoby Brissett and no future at quarterback. So I'd be a little cautious on that one. I'd be a little cautious on that, and I think that is something that is being tossed out there in case a team is very desperate and really, really, really wants to get Jeremiah Love. And they're hoping to maybe get into a little bit of a bidding war where they can take the best deal out there for the third overall pick. So there's that. We have the A.J. Brown news that he is going to be traded, but it sounds like it's, again, could it be something that's thrown out there by the Eagles saying, hey, we're going to trade him to the Patriots probably around June 1st. But if you got a better deal, we're open, man. We're open. Send us a better deal. Send us a better option. Because right now, we're going to ship him to New England. Hey, Buffalo, you don't want to go up against him? Give us a better deal. Miami's in a complete rebuild. They ain't trading for him, right? I mean, that's Jets, yeah. But anybody else in the AFC, hey, you don't want him going to New England, the AFC champs, give us a better deal. Going to throw that out there right now. So, I mean, the A.J. Brown stuff, it just made, from day one, if he was going to be traded, it'd probably be back to, Mike Vrabel and his time with A.J. Brown and in Tennessee and such. So it's a likely one. But would the Eagles trade Brown just to make him happy to pair up with Mike Vrabel? No. Howie Roseman ain't doing that. Eagles ain't going to do that. They're going to do what's best for them and whatever package they return. So if this did get out there, it got leaked purposely to see if somebody could come in with a better offer, with a better deal. But who is at the top of your wish list? If you are a fan of Lions, Vikings, Bears, oh my, Packers, I know they don't have a pick until round 2, but maybe of all of the mock drafts out there, all of the 7-round, 3rd round, or 3-round, whatever, simulators, you've been playing around with them, there's got to be a name or at least a couple of names that have maybe gone up on top of your wish list. If that's the case, who is it? Who is it? Because I can tell you one name that I think is, if I had to say somebody at the top of my wish list, I might go a little Lee Hunter. That's a name that keeps popping up for Green Bay or around where Green Bay picks. The massive nose tackle, Texas Tech, clogging up the middle if he's still there. And it gets hard. Okay, when we get into the second round, it gets hard to project or predict where some of these guys are going to go. First round, we have a good idea of maybe the top 25 players that are going to be first round picks. Then somewhere around after that, this was a guy that was kind of hovering between a first or a second round pick. And that's why we see the wave of all these trades in the second round of these teams moving up because maybe they didn't expect that person or that player to be there in the second round. So you see a lot of guys trading up. Like, oh, we got to grab this guy. We didn't think he was going to be there. It's not going to cost as much compared to, trading up in the first round. So let's move up. You're going to see that happen again. It happens every single year. And especially if there's a pushback on a certain position group. Like, for example, let's say, hey, not a ton of corners were picked in the first round. So all the top corners got pushed back, and there's a lot of them available. You may see teams saying, hey, we need a corner. Hey, we thought that guy was going to be gone in the first round. Let's move up. And then you have that wave. It's like, oh, crap, that guy got traded or that guy got drafted. We really need a corner. Let's move up and get this guy. We see it every single year. But who is that guy? Who is that player? I was looking at a full 7-round mock on ESPN this morning that dropped a little bit earlier. For the Packers at number 52, they've got an edge rusher from Penn State, Dennis Sutton, saying the Packers covet explosive defensive linemen, and Dennis Sutton exemplifies that. Green Bay needs depth everywhere on the defensive line, and Sutton is a lengthy disruptor who could carve out a rotational role early. They're round 3 for Green Bay here. They've got Everett, the corner from Georgia. Green Bay has historically valued big athletic corners, and a 6'1", 196 Everett fits that profile. Let's go. I'm just kind of going through for Green Bay's picks here. So to round 4, they've got Capehart from Clemson, defensive tackle. I'm kind of doing this on the fly here. Round 5 for Green Bay. Green, a quarterback from Arkansas. Drafting a backup quarterback early on. Their other 5th-round pick, where is it here? I know that they got 2. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Singleton, the running back from Penn State. Let's go into the 6th round. Who do they got? They've got Caleb Douglas, wide receiver from Texas Tech. And then the next up, they've got Styles, junior safety from Ohio State on there. I thought there was another one. Oh, and then I'm not going to go back to it. For some reason, my computer just decided to change pages on me and start all over. But okay, so if you don't have anybody on your wish list, well, let me throw this question to you. What do you think is a position that everybody thinks Green Bay is going to draft at some point in the draft? But you're like, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they don't address it. Like, everybody's saying they need to get some depth at this position, but it wouldn't surprise me if they don't. And they've done that a few years, right? I mean, remember how many years we were talking about, man, they need a linebacker. They needed inside linebacker, and they would just kind of avoid it. What's the position group that you think a lot of fans are pounding the table for? But it wouldn't surprise you if they don't address it. I've got mine. But I'll tell you after the break, because we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Spring is here in Eau Claire, and that means it is the perfect time to freshen up your home. At Carpet City Flooring Center, now is the season to take a look at what's under your feet and imagine what it could be. From soft, comfortable carpet that makes any room feel cozier to luxury vinyl planks and tile built for busy homes. There's something for every space, every budget, and every lifestyle. Maybe it's one room that needs a refresh, or maybe it's time for a full home update. Either way, their team is there to help guide you through it all, from choosing the right style to professional installation that you can count on. Because spring isn't just about cleaning out the old. It's about bringing in something better, a brighter space, a cleaner look, a home that feels new again. So if you're ready to upgrade this season, stop on in and see what's possible. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, where your next project starts from the floor up. So a lot of mock drafts, I mean, look, for example, if you go to the Pro football, is it mock draft? The one that Brandon and I did on Friday. If you didn't listen to it, it is up on the Man Cave podcast or on YouTube, but the video version where Brandon and I, we went to ProFootballNetwork.com and we did our mock draft. He did the Vikings. I did the Packers and such, so you can take a look at that. But, and regardless of where you're at, a lot of the same resources, websites will have the same kind of needs for each team, right? And for Green Bay, they list corner, offensive tackle, edge, defensive tackle, and wide receiver. But if there was one of those, or maybe there's a couple more position groups we can add to that, if there was a position group where you wouldn't be surprised that everybody thinks is a kind of a top need or a major need for Green Bay, but you wouldn't be surprised if they don't address it at some point in this draft, what would that be? What position group would that be? And for me, I think I'm going edge. I think I'm going to go with edge rusher because, and it's not because of Micah Parsons and such, but you got Lucas Van Ness for another year. We don't know if they're going to pick up the 5th-year option on him or not. They brought back Brenton Cox Jr., They drafted Barron Sorrell last year. They drafted Colin Oliver last year. They brought back Aaron Mosby. If there was a position group that I had to pick, or that I'm going to pick, that a lot of the experts or analysts or whoever out there is saying that, oh, this is a big need for Green Bay. If there's that position group that I don't think, or I would pick that maybe they don't address in this draft, I might go edge rusher. I still feel like offensive line, even though if they've got their starters, after that, they need depth. And I think it's kind of a tradition, maybe more times than not, it hasn't happened every single year, that they're probably going to get a lineman maybe day 3 or something like that. So starters may be there, but from a depth purpose, I might go where they still draft maybe another lineman or two. The other position group that I was kind of thinking about was maybe wide receiver, maybe because you got Watson. I think the prevailing theory is that they're going to re-sign him to a deal. You got Matthew Golden. They got Savion Williams in the 3rd round. Jury's still out on that. You got Jaden Reed also on there. So, that's kind of your top 4 from a depth standpoint. I could see maybe wide receiver being a little bit further down in the priority list. That maybe it isn't a high pick, but who knows? It could be a big surprise there. And I'm sure, if they do draft a receiver, I think you're going to have the questions of, okay, do they not bring back Christian Watson? I think they bring back Christian Watson regardless. But it probably means the end of a guy like Jaden Reed and during his tenure in Green Bay after this year. Maybe it's a running back, Josh Jacobs. After that, it's a big question mark. Chris Brooks, kind of your 3rd down back. We don't know what the heck you have with Marshawn Lloyd yet because of his hamstring issues and his soft tissue injuries. So no idea what we have with him. But maybe they don't draft that running back this year. Maybe it is next year. A lot of people thinking that maybe it's a day 3 or a late day 2 type of selection. But I of the ones that are talked about the most in terms of, this is a position that they've got to address. If there was a position group that maybe Green Bay surprises a little bit and they don't draft, I might go edge. I might go with that edge rushing group just because, yes, they got Micah, but he's not going to start the season. You got Lucas Van Ness. Don't know if he's going to be picking up a 5th-year option. They drafted Barron Sorrell last year. They drafted Colin Oliver last year. They like those 2 guys a lot. You bring back Brenton Cox Jr. They bring back Aaron Mosby. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't address edge rusher if I had to pick one. That's just my opinion, though. That's just my thoughts. Packers did bring back, or I should say Bo Melton signed his exclusive rights deal. So There you have it. He's back, wide receiver, so you got a little bit more depth there too. But get ready for more rumors and rumblings and such out there. But if you got a mock draft, if you do a mock draft, hit me up with an email, okay? mancavepodmail@gmail.com, and I'll include it up in one of our 2 podcasts that we got coming this week. Later on this week, we've got mock drafts. I'll put my Packers mock draft in there. We got Brandon doing a Vikings one. We've got Tom from across the pond, our resident Lions fan, doing one. And then we've got Hetch, our Bears fan, doing one. So we're doing mock drafts. We got a few people representing each team. That's going to be up on a podcast a little bit later on this week. I'm still waiting for Brandon's. So it depends on when Brandon senses on over, and then we'll put that up on a episode of the Man Cave podcast. So, all right. Tell you what, we got to take a quick break as we start to wrap up the third hour. Don't forget to also send me your best and worst from the weekend. Best and worst from the weekend. Our VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. You can hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line or chime in on the Section 105 YouTube chat. All right, quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up hour 2 after these quick words. Hey, sometimes accidents happen, but getting your vehicle back to normal doesn't have to be stressful. And at Superior Auto Body, they specialize in getting your vehicle looking right again after dents, dings, or collisions. And the best part, they handle the insurance process for you, working directly with your provider to make things simple and hassle-free. No runaround, no confusion, just quality work and a team, that's got your back every single step of the way. Get your vehicle back on the road with confidence. Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, where the job gets done right. All right. So we've got sidetracked there. I thought we had a little bit of an update on social. That's the other thing, too, with Twitter this week. Just get ready for a lot of random stuff to pop up and such. Mark says, don't forget about Sky Moore at wide receiver. Well, yeah, he's there, but I think it's fair to say that Sky Moore is picked up more so for returns and punt returns and kick returns. And if we're counting on him to be a major factor from the wide receiver department, we may be in a lot of trouble at that point, considering he has done next to nothing from a wide receiver standpoint throughout his first few years from the league. And he's only there for 1 year, too. So, I mean, from a long-term perspective thing, right now he's only there for at least a year, and I don't think he's even guaranteed to have a roster spot locked up. But I would think it's probably safer than maybe what McCole Hardman was last year for Green Bay. So Sky Moore, I think it's probably safe to assume that he's going to be more of an impact player from a return standpoint. Now, could he be involved in some jet sweeps and that sort of thing? Yeah, sure. Why not? But he's probably 5th or 6th at best right now on the depth chart for wide receiver. He's not above Christian. He's not above Jaden Reed. He's not above Matthew Golden. And I think, Savion's going to get probably higher than him on the depth chart. So it's probably between him or Bo Melton for 5th and 6th at this point in time. So, but anywho, we'll get back to some more draft stuff a little bit later on and such. Continue to send who do you want on your wish list if there is a player or such. I don't care what fan base you're part of. You can be Vikings, you can be Cowboys, you can be Bears. Who's number 1 on your list? Share it with the rest of the class. So, I do want to get back to more Giannis talk a little bit later on with some of his comments and such that he had to say again as of late. But and then I want to throw a little John Horst talk in here too, because there was a piece about John Horst from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel and such. So I do want to hit that, but we'll probably hit that up in the next hour. So, but we'll get back to some more baseball talk too, with the Brewers winning their series against the Marlins this past weekend. Coleman Crow impressed, man. Dude looked legit. He looked awesome. Right? Now he is sent back down. don't freak out. I saw some Brewers fans freaking out and such and questioning that and this, that, and the other thing, but don't freak out, okay? He'll be back at some point in time. He'll be good, okay? If there's one thing that the Brewers that they do right more times than not is handle this pitching staff. They handle the pitchers. So just cool the jets here a little bit. But he looked awesome. That curveball, that sinker, his breaking stuff was amazing. So Brewers have the off day today, even though they won 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. They're tied for last place in their division because the NL Central, the rest of the teams, the Pirates, the Reds, the Cardinals, they just won't stop winning either. Cubs picked up a nice, I shouldn't say nice, but the Cubs picked up a sweep over the struggling Mets. I mean, you look at some of these teams right now in the early goings. Boston 8-13, Toronto 8-13, Kansas City 7-15. I was one that was buying the Kansas City hype train this year, and they're 7-15. They've lost 7 in a row so far. Minus 32 in run differential. Yikes. Seattle's just 3 under 500, but you got Houston. Some people kind of wonder, okay, Houston, maybe a little bit of a sleeper team. They're 8-15. But you look at that NL East, man, with Philly at 8-13 and the Mets riding a 11-game losing streak, 7-15. 7-15. Whoa. Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof. Right? And then maybe you throw the Giants. I know, Giants 9-13. Some kind of had them as a potential playoff team too. But you look at some of these teams and the beginnings. I mean, the NL Central, surprising teams with the Cardinals 13-8. Some peeps out there had the Pirates as a sneaky good team. Cincinnati made a playoff appearance last year. I think some people were kind of sleeping on Cincinnati a little bit, saying, no. But they made the playoffs. They got Suarez in the offseason. So maybe not too surprising how well they're starting off to begin the year. But of these teams, of Toronto, Boston, Kansas City, Seattle, throw Houston in there, Philadelphia, the Mets, Giants, who do you look at as maybe the most disappointing to begin the year? Who do you maybe look at as the most disappointing to begin the year? I think you got to look at the Mets and the Phillies, both those ball clubs. And the Phillies right now, they're going up against the Cubbies starting tonight. Got to be Phillies fans if you're Brewers fans, but and then they've got after the Cubs, they've got the Braves. And then they got the Giants after that too. So, man, Cubs taking advantage of going up against a Mets team that has been struggling a lot as of late here. So, David Stearns, going back to that question from last week, David Stearns, dude's got to be nervous, right? He's got to be sweating some bullets with how his team is performing. Got to imagine Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, cannot be happy at all with the performance from his team. And yes, Juan Soto has been missing time. He's been out. But man, it's been a struggle. It's been a big struggle. All right, a couple minutes left to the top of the hour here. So continue to send me your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. We'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. In the 9 o'clock hour, we'll do our local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. So we'll hit that up with Justice Cleveland. He will be joining us here in the 9 o'clock hour. So lots to get to here this morning. We'll hit that up with JC in the EC. So, and then getting back to whatever else you have to say. You can join in on the Section 105 chat on YouTube. Continue to send me your wish list of players. We'll hit those up probably a little bit later on in the program and that. But if you are getting set for the NFL draft coming up this weekend, or this week, I should say, if you got somebody that's maybe at the top of your wish list, who is that player? Maybe it's somebody that you've constantly been seeing mocked to the Packers, and you're kind of like, all right, I'm buying into that. I'm buying what you're selling. Mock draft experts out there. That's who I want. I feel like that's where a lot of fans kind of get into. You start to hear this name, and it's repetition, right? You start to hear this name more and more and more and more. Then you kind of start to fall in love with it. It's like George Costanza in Seinfeld when, you keep saying Costanza, and you kind of hear all these names, and it sticks in your head. It sticks in your brain. And that's kind of the person you fall in love with. So who is that player? We all have them, or maybe there's a couple of them. So hit me up, okay? 715-830-1912. Or again, you can hit us up on the